Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today the question is, what is the difference between introversion and extroversion? These two terms were coined by Carl Jung, who developed analytic therapy. And the way they're used in popular culture is different than we see in mental health counseling. Sometimes when we think of the term introvert, we think of shyness, and with the term extrovert, we think of gregariousness. And the similarity between gregariousness and extroversion, that's pretty close. I can understand that. The difference between introversion and shyness, they're really not the same thing. With shyness, we think of a little bit of fear and anxiety about social interactions. Introverts don't necessarily have any fear or anxiety around social interactions. They just don't get any energy for that. And that's what it really comes down to when you look at the difference between introversion and extroversion. It's where does the energy come from? For an introvert, they get energy when they're alone, from thinking and thinking deeply, reflecting on their thoughts. That's where they get refreshed. Extroverts get refreshed through social interactions. So if you use the example of a party has a lot of social interactions typically, sometimes a lot of sound, and sometimes flashing lights, like maybe the television's on. So you have two people that go to a party, an introvert and an extrovert. When they come home, the extrovert's ready to go to another party. They gained a lot of energy from that experience, particularly all the stimulation and the social interaction. The introvert's ready to start gathering some energy when the party's over. They need to get refreshed from that experience. You could also think of this in terms of stimulation. The extrovert is going to seek stimulation, and the introvert is more likely to have a sensitivity to sound and light, and in most cases does not like a lot of stimulation in the environment. There are some differences around thinking as well. Extroverts and introverts both have the capability of deep thinking and deep analysis, but for introverts it kind of comes naturally. They're used to deep thinking and they're attracted to that. We have differences too when it comes to the friendship network of an extrovert versus an introvert. Extroverts are more likely to be involved in a lot of social media, and they tend to have a lot of friends at the acquaintance level and a few friends that are considered deep friends. Introverts are less active on social media and tend to have a solid number of deep relationships and very few acquaintances. So there's a different relational style at that level as well. There's also a social bias when it comes to extroversion and introversion. In our society, the ability to interact socially is highly valued, and sometimes that creates this value for extroversion that's above introversion. But I look at both of these personality traits as having value. Extroverts have an advantage when it comes to social interaction. Introverts have an advantage when it comes to thinking and analysis. There's times where we need both these skills. And there's different theories about how introversion and extroversion really work. One theory suggests that everyone is both introverted and extroverted, and it's a matter of what we choose to do. And the difference between extroverts and introverts is just that extroverts choose more social interaction. Another theory is that these traits come from genetics, and that you're born at whatever level you're born at in terms of introversion and extroversion. We think of these concepts as on a continuum. Some people genetically are toward the middle, so it's easy for them to adapt to either introverted traits or extroverted traits. Some people are purely introverted or purely extroverted, and they find it difficult to move over to the other trait, to exhibit behaviors from the other trait. When I consider these different theories of introversion and extroversion, I'm inclined to go with genetics. People can certainly adapt, and if someone has introverted traits, they can adapt and exhibit the behaviors of an extrovert. And the opposite's true. But I think genetics explains more here. When you look at individuals, especially that are purely introverted or purely extroverted, they really struggle to take on the behaviors of that other personality trait. To me, it looks like they can be hardwired that way, at least to a degree. Now, again, people are adaptable. So if you have the traits of introversion, you can still work to be extroverted. And I think it's a good idea to practice this adaptability. If you're extroverted and you want to pick up the behaviors of somebody who's introverted, you can practice that. And the same thing if you're introverted and you want to be more socially interactive, you can take on those traits. It builds versatility, and that can lead to productivity. I hope you found this description of introversion and extroversion to be interesting. Thanks for watching.